Good mornings and good to see everybody and all that. Give everybody a chance to get in here. Hi, everybody. Hi, Jill. How you doing? Hey, good. Eric, happy travels. Saw you out there traveling. I love it. Can't wait to hear more about that. And if you got to go do Valley of the Names, and I'm sure you flew. Hi, Nita. Great to see everybody. Jennifer, we haven't seen you for a while. Hope you're doing well. Awesome. Marie Louise. We got Sharon jumping in here. So Sharon and Sheila were well, Sheila, you're always in New York, correct? Yes. Okay. So I was going to
Yes,
say,
I am a New Yorker, just off to the edge, far, far off away from New York City, probably as furthest away from New York City you can be. Yeah,
Gotcha.
almost. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Sharon. How are you? She's obviously working on some technical things there. So before we get the ball rolling, we do have some people that I want to go ahead and hey, Anna, hi, how are you? I was just about to do a shout out for you. Um, so I want to really quick while I'm letting people in or Sheila's letting people in, I want to share with who's coming up. We have some people that are tentative and some that have actually already locked in, and it's super exciting. So I want to make sure I share this with you. And sometimes I forget. So we want to make sure I do this. Next week we have Stuart Smith. He's with the Droning Company. He's going to be our spotlight speaker. Ann Dill, she just jumped in here. We're excited. She's going to be coming up in the next few weeks as well. She's with Cyberhawk. Mark Langley, the drone donation program is just rocketing right now. It's wonderful. So he's going to come share with us. Greg Reverdio, yes, with the Pilot Institute. He's going to be a guest speaker. I have Kimberly Penn because you asked for more of that business side of things. Kimberly Penn's going to be sharing with us strategies and such. And Tracy Lamb, if you're not familiar with Tracy Lamb, she has Quantum AI and she has a very inspirational presentation that she does. So I'm super excited to have her coming as well. Isn't that amazing? All
Oh,
these
fantastic.
awesome speakers coming up. I am super stoked. So it's wonderful. And if you have anybody that you think would make a great speaker and you want to connect it, please let us know. We would love to have your friends on as well. Still letting a few more people jump in here. While we do, we still got a couple minutes here. Anybody got a great drone story to share? Hi, Linda. She just posted in our chat. Feel free to put anything you want into the chat as we do through the Spotlight speaker. We'll also be monitoring the chat. I guess I better do a shout out right now to two people. Sheila, who helps monitor behind the scenes for me, and Johnny, who does the editing. He's wonderful. So thank you both for all your help. All right. So, okay. Any drone story before we segue on right here? Anybody? Caroline, I think you might have gone out flying. Yes. Oh, okay. Eric. Eric went on a travel trip, actually.
It was actually a very short travel trip. I went to the official center of the world in Winter Haven, California, which is owned by my friend Jacques-Andre Estelle, and is a place that everyone should visit at least once in their life. And anyway, I fly drones every time he dedicates a new wall. And so we did a combination of wall dedication this time and parachute flying, which was, of course, quite a challenge to line up the drone properly for that. So tons of fun. And we all had a good time.
Awesome. Wow, I can't wait to hear more about that. Awesome. All right. It's so great when you get out and actually fly, right? Always feels good. So with that, I would like to segue over to our spotlight speaker.
Recording in progress.
Oh,
Sorry, that's me.
Okay. All better. We're all good. Awesome. So we have Manuel Coelho. I think I said it wrong. I'm so sorry. I just asked you and I just
You did
watched it.
great.
Thank you. He's with Speedbird Arrow. I'm super excited to have him here. I am going to post their website on there, doing amazing things. He's an entrepreneur and a business leader with 20 years of success and progress and experience with leading sales and marketing teams that have proven ability and implementation of innovation. We love innovation, right? And so we're super excited to have him here today. And I'm going to segue over and make you spotlight for everyone. Oh, and by the way, just for an FYI, he's in Dubai right now. So there's a little bit of a time zone difference, right? All
That's
right.
correct.
I
Hi,
have made you
Desi.
spotlight. All right.
Good
Thank you for
afternoon,
joining
good
me.
morning, good afternoon to everyone. Thank you, Desi, for this kind introduction and the participation in the Women of Drones and obviously the Coffee Connect. It's an honor for us. My name is Manoel Coelho. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Speedbird. We are a so-called drone delivery company, focus on delivering goods, right, everywhere in the world today. We started in Brazil. I have a little bit of a presentation for you guys and some videos demonstrate what we do. I can guarantee you, Desi, that's much less exciting than what everyone here does during the weekend. Our drones are designed to be boring, right? Designed to do the same work all the time, reliably and you know, with less more uneventful stories than what we would like to. So that's a good thing for us. So let me know if I can share or start the presentation, and please don't hesitate to ask me questions. And this is a good chat, you know, and I'd like to learn what everyone is doing as well and see as now we are launching into the US, right? So we're preparing now the next few months to enter the US market. We left the US and now we are coming back. So that's very exciting times.
Awesome. Yes, you can do a screen share on there. And Brazil is definitely on my wish list. I hope to head there.
No, that's great. And yeah, we started in Brazil. I put a little slide here. Actually, to all fairness to Arizona, we started a company in Arizona, flying in Arizona, about 5 years ago. And because of things were still in the infant stages and regulations were tough and it requires so much money for us to start in Arizona or in the US. My co-founder and I, we were both born and grew up in Brazil until I was 17. Then I moved to the US. I spent more time in the US than in Brazil, so I feel very American when it comes to you know, my kids are in the US and family. But we decided to at that time leave Arizona and go to Brazil. And why? I'm not sure if you know, but Brazil has a long history of aviation, right? Right there with the Wright brothers. You know, there's competition between who was the first one. The first, obviously, the Wright brothers, well known worldwide. Santos Dumont, which is the Brazilian equivalent, was right there, one of the top 10 in aviation. So a lot of contributions that all these pioneers have done. And I equate that to drones, right? I equate this to our world today. There's so many people working to make this a reality for everyone. The rules, there's so, you know, we participate in forums for GPS accuracy, from UTM to, you know, the new equipment that's going to be on board to make it autonomous one day. So but Brazil, we chose because obviously the regulations, right, are very similar to the US. But we had an opening with the Brazilian regulation called Civil Aviation Authority of Brazil, ANAC, which was very open to test this new drone delivery a company that was moving to Brazil, where we started working with them very closely on the rules of engagement, what we need to do to show that this is safe and we can actually now operate. We found out very quickly that the off-the-shelf drones that we started using it, in 2015 and earlier, wouldn't cut it, right? It wouldn't make will pass muster. So therefore, we had to start building our own drones, right? The design, from scratch to allow, for example, a parachute to be integrated, and many other security features. And not only that, but the dispenser, right? The whatever mechanisms that we use, and we chose to actually do deliveries based on landing and deploying the box other than a winch at that time, because it posed a lot of questions in regards to wind and safety, etc. So we decided to be more conservative and start working on pre-programmed routes, doing B2B first, capitalization of the cities, looking at areas that were underserved, and complementing the last mile with scooters, motorcycles, and other means of transportation when we could not reach the final destination. And that seemed to be, the regulators actually took a very big interest, because we were doing this safely for the last 3 years, flying every day, and we accumulated enough hours that, and I can share with you here, that last year, in January, we were the first company in the Americas to receive type certification for the drone. And if we know anything about Brazil, you will know that every 10 seconds, there's a Brazilian-built aircraft taking off and landing in any airport in the United States and the world, which is Embraer. Embraer is the third largest aircraft manufacturer. Those who fly regional aircrafts most likely will have flown in many Embraer jets. So we have that cluster, just like in Silicon Valley, where they have the clusters with disruption and innovation. We have the aviation cluster, which Speedbird is a part of, and the only drone delivery company in Brazil. So based on that, we earned our spot amongst the top companies in the world doing this, and do the Drone Industry Insights actually feature us amongst the top companies. We manufacture and operate in Brazil our own aircraft, and outside of Brazil, we have partnerships, very strategic partnerships with companies that we train and prepare them, their operators, their pilots, to be operators for Speedbird unmanned, uncrewed aircraft systems. And that's where actually we earned our spot in everywhere in media. Speedbird received the first regulatory approval for experimental in 2020. In 2022, we had the type certification, and now we are free to fly everywhere. Oops, not so much, right? So now we have the airspace control that we have to work diligently to ensure that in a country, in a city of São Paulo, for example, where we're based in the state of São Paulo in Brazil, is the #1 helicopter traffic in the world. So how do you fly without an UTM? How do you fly without rules, right? So that's where we are going through right now. We can get the airspace separated. That's why we're able to actually do multiple routes today, but still not in the scale that we will see in the next 3 to 5 years, and hopefully sooner, right? With the emergence now of the urban air mobility aircraft, right? The eVTOLs, we trust that this is going to accelerate even farther. But I prepared a little bit of here, just a few pictures of our company. This is our command and control center in São Paulo, where we actually fly the aircraft. Okay, so we have in the field operators trained to fly the aircraft with a similar system, but to comply with the regulations. But we believe that it's safer when the operator is even withdrawn from all the drama of food arriving or medicines or blood samples, and they do a very good job in putting the box in the right place and exchanging the batteries. We don't have yet an automated system. We consider it necessary at this time because of the regulations, but we are moving towards automation in the future as well. So this is just an example of the command and control center in our softwares that we use to not only fly the drones, but also give our customers the visibility and information, business intelligence, as the drones are flying, including the ETA when their cargo is going to be delivered. Just a little bit of who Speedbird is and what we have done. Over 10,200 hours and growing, right? To deliveries, 5,000 urban flight hours, which is very significant. Very many, number of global partners that we're very proud to have, right? And then obviously 8 major clients already using this daily in Brazil, in Israel, and now we're going to Latin America. And as I said, we're landing in the US to start the discussions with the Department of Transportation, the FAA. We actually settled, we found a good place in North Carolina, and hopefully to join the Beyond program as well, to be testing our aircraft and looking for partnerships across the land. And a little bit of how we built this and what we do. This is our manufacturing plant, assembly plant, as we call it, in Brazil, in Sao Paulo. Software, eVTOL, multi-rotor aircraft. So we have 3 different models that are flying today, right? And this is what I'm here to share, the story that goes from not only preparing the aircraft, but also the delivery systems, the boxes. Everything has to be designed for delivery, right? For cargo delivery. So not only the patents that we have for the card box that we manufacture with our partners that have to withstand 3 to 5 Gs of force, depending on the model, and the parachute deployment can cause that. The regulators don't want this to be falling free from the skies in somebody's head. So we want to make sure that if in case we need to deploy the parachute for some emergency, that the cargo does not get detached from the aircraft. So all this has to come in consideration when coming up with your drone delivery systems, etc. So we have built that, we have mastered it, have done it, and now we are collecting, harvesting some of the seeds that we planted in the past. As I said, this is the first certification. This is actually the copy of the type certification, just the first page. As you can see, the Brazilian aircraft authorities, the Civil Aviation Authorities presented this at the ICAO forum in Montreal last year, which was a big thing because the US works with waivers, lots of waivers, and there's one company that has the type certification as well, which, by the way, is very similar to us when the modus operandi, landing, delivering, not with winch at this moment, not intending to deliver to the people's homes yet. This is going to come, but we believe at a later stage, right? So at this moment, we are focusing on the capitalization of the cities, the strategic routes, B2B, B2B2C. And this is a little bit of our fleet of 2 multi-rotor aircrafts, and then the other 2 eVTOLs. The LV5, obviously, it's being designed, so it's not ready yet. But the LV4, the eVTOL, it is actually flying and going through this experimental certification process first. And then in the next 12 months, we'll see the type certification coming for this aircraft. A little bit of our partners. We cannot do anything by ourselves. And that's actually the motto of aviation. And that's why we're here with your good selves, because you're also in the field every day operating drones. So we can actually draw from experience everywhere, right? Our clients, most of them you don't know, except for AB and Bev, the owners of Budweiser. Natura, owns the Body Shop, and Aesop, and a few other major companies. BRF is one of the largest global food companies. iFood delivers 70 million meals a month. Brazil's a big country, not as big as the US, but right there with the US in terms of continental size and the number of people, and the second country in the world just behind the US in number of airports. So that's important to mention why Brazil was so important to us, because we had a little bit of an experience, right, before we come to the US with a Civil Aviation Authority that has to be very concerned about how the aircraft, not only from the aircraft to the bottom to people, right, the safety of people, but also from the aircraft to the up, the safety of the airspace that's being shared. And some of our clients, again, just moving a little bit along here, and partners. As I said, we cannot do things by ourselves. From Highlander, which is the top UTM in the world today, We work with them in Israel, in Brazil, and other parts of the world, and soon in the US, and a few others here that are very important to us. Qualcomm just recently, we signed an agreement with Qualcomm, a global agreement. We're very excited to make our drones even more robust with their technology. Elsight, which is an Israeli company that does telecommunications, and four SIM cards inside the drone. So if in case you have a problem with 4G or 5G, or even, for example, you can actually take radio, you can take Wi-Fi, and if everything fails, you can still connect with the Satcom. So they have a link to Satcom company that provides the services, and a few others. I can do, which is the biggest operator of drones in Israel, and the first company to actually show Speedbird that we could actually train others to do this on our behalf. And thanks to them, we are growing globally as well. And a few other companies here that we'll mention later on. But just a quick video, Desi, can I share this? Anybody has any questions? I don't want this to be a very long monologue here. So if you have questions, please let me know.
We have had a lot of conversation into the chat. Anna had said that her husband is a pilot with the company that you had mentioned, and I'm looking back for where it is. Embraer, is
Yes,
that you?
indeed.
She said, okay. Her husband's a pilot there, which I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. So she had mentioned that. We have a lot of conversation about Founts would like to connect with you. He's made some comments about he loves Qualcomm and he uses Elsight daily, kind of a thing. And so Sheila has a question about, are the pilots in the office only, or are the current regulations requiring both the office and in the field? Do you use VOs as well? I'm sure that's stemming from having a remote piloting command on location.
That's correct.
Is that okay?
That's correct. We need to have somebody in the location always. That's the current regulation. The advantage of a company that has type certification is you do not need any observers, right? This is a true BVLOS flying. You don't need to have someone on the other side. So the landing can be done autonomously or automatically on the other side, followed by not only the pilot that is actually at the departure site, but also in another city, right? In our case, can be in another country as well. So depending on the regulations that allow us to do it or not. For example, all the flights in Brazil are followed by not only the local pilot that is in local, right? In local in the location that the drone departs. And actually he or she are trained to put the battery, to look for any signs of stress on the aircraft, right? So there's a lot more on the operation than just pressing the buttons to fly. As I said, it's a pretty boring if you're only doing the flights, because it's very secure. The aircraft, I'm going to share here a little bit of a system. We just did the most daring flight of our history, which was in Israel. So we did 16 kilometers BVLOS in the south of Israel. And the first time in history that an aircraft departed from an active international airport. So that was actually very important to us to do that in the state of Israel. But here's just a little bit of us, right? This is project with Siemens. I can share that with you guys later, but we have all the information. This is a project with Mercedes-Benz. So we have we call advanced cloud control systems, ground control systems. So we don't have to have a physical presence everywhere. For example, when we take this for demonstrations or for a quick project or over the weekend for someone that wants to demonstrate. So we have we call the bird port, right? It's a van. The drone can land on top of the van as well. We have all the systems in there, battery chargers and alternators to make sure that we have enough power to charge these batteries that the drones can keep flying every day. So this was actually a true partnership with Mercedes-Benz that we have in Brazil and other parts of the world as well, that enabled us to do this effectively. As you can see here, the drone dropping the cargo, leaving in a beautiful sunset in the city. We have this area where we actually do all the testing and fine tuning of our aircraft systems. We have a little bit more on Siemens here on how the drones are built, but I want to just bring this one here before Israel. This is actually the first time we've flown biological samples, right? So not only you have to get permission to fly the aircraft, but also the cargo. This is going to come in the US with the FDA as well. If you're flying blood samples or any biohazard materials, they will be involved in the future. So we already taken the steps to working with the biggest lab in Latin America, as you can see here, very advanced, to take these samples. We started in the city of Salvador, which is the third largest city in Brazil. And today we have a 30-kilometer corridor along the ocean that cuts through the traffic, right? And they're able to deliver this close to the airport where their samples are departing to a central location where they're being processed. So just to give a little bit of an example of how we are actually accomplishing this over the ocean, over water, over land, mountains, etc. So that's not a problem. So they do a little bit of a comparison, and they save 30 minutes per flight, which at the end of the day accumulates and gets you all the efficiencies that we need to actually do to make this economically viable, right? As you can see here, we're not delivering to the hospital yet or to the airport, but as the regulations are becoming more and more flexible, we'll be able to actually fly over people and get to the final destination shortly. So the accelerated plan here is to use an UTM, right? Is to implement an UTM that can coordinate traffic, because this is what is actually slowing us down. So the coordination between the ATM and the UTM, there's a lot of talks happening. A lot of folks are speculating what's going to be, how it's going to look like. We prefer to do it and then modify it and show the regulators. So that's why we're working in Israel and now in Brazil with Highlander. And then moving forward here, you can see, for example, this is the city of Rio de Janeiro, a few of the projects that we have. This is a very beautiful project I'm going to share with you that's starting now in this month.
Rio de Janeiro, hundreds of thousands of cars and motorcycles drive around town every day, and countless bicycles along the seafront. This huge traffic volume impacts ability, thus challenging the delivery of products and supplies. Thinking about this, Ambev and Speedbird created an innovative project to offer efficient means of air transportation to complement others acting in the city's logistics network, thus creating more convenience for its citizens. A solution that uses cutting-edge technology focusing on speed, designed in a modern, safe, and sustainable fashion to positively impact urban logistics and mobility, as well as people's daily lives. Using drones, we can access highly complex logistical areas, better predict displacement times, and offer a wide range of services to companies, communities, and the public sector. In fact, the implementation of such a project in the city of Rio de Janeiro showcases the pioneering spirit of this segment in a partnership involving the public and private sectors, making the Rio City Hall the first in Brazil to embrace this technology. And it couldn't have happened at a better place. Because in Rio de Janeiro, when we look upwards, we see beauty and joy. And starting now, when we look at the sky, we will see innovation, technology, transformation. Because Rio de Janeiro always delivers the best in people.
And so everybody knows Ambev is AB InBev, right? Budweiser, Corona, the biggest brewery in the world, right? I'm not going to share. I can make this available to you guys. I have so many videos and Cross Islands, and this is a 10-kilometer round trip. Beaver Laws as well in the city of Salvador. We had an island that is underserved today, so the government is asking us. We have a lot of partnerships between not only government, but also private companies that want to. This is our software as it shows here. But the last one I want to share is what we have done in Israel. And for a Brazilian-born company to be the first foreign company to fly in the state of Israel and be able to actually get certified, working with the largest operators and grocery stores and companies in the country. It's a source of major pride for us. And last week, we did this flight in, you can see here, in Eilat, the south of Israel. And you can see the other side, the Jordan border, which is amazing. 3 countries share this border here. This is our system. That's the airport.
כן, זה מאוד, היסטוריה, חברים, היסטוריה.
There you go. So that just shows a little bit of our company. I'm sorry if I went a bit too long, but open to questions, comments. But thank you again for this opportunity to demonstrate a little bit of what we're doing.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Oh, well, thank you. Yes, we do have some conversations still going on there in the chat. And so I am going to scroll back up, and Sheila, will you let me know if I've missed any? But I'm going to kind of start right about where I'd seen somebody had mentioned about what would the typical height of the drone be flying at?
Well, below 400 feet at this moment, that's what the best practices are, especially for the regulations, to separate their space at this moment. We can apply for an authorization to fly higher, but especially with the multi-rotor, you do not need to do that unless you have different specific needs to do it. So usually we fly 120, 160 feet maximum.
Awesome. And the route is already pre-designed. So as far as obstacle avoidance and such like that, you've already pre-designed the route?
That's correct. So usually we pre-design the routes. We get actually no temps for the area. So it takes a few days when we're operating this daily, because the difference between us and other companies, this is not just a project. This is actually ongoing. We have operations that are over 2 years now, daily flights, 10 hours a day. We are the only companies that I know that are taking McDonald's every day, right, to places. So that's we receive, if you can order, we call Mackie drone. You have the little picture of the drones in there that, so we're doing this live every day, impacting real lives. So that's why we have the obligation at this moment to separate their space and monitor it, even if legally we are okay if there's an incursion to our NOTAM. But in the eyes of the public, right, any conflict, any shock with a drone in a manned aircraft, it's not going to be good for anyone, specifically for our image. So we monitor it. We actually maintain the free frequency open. And there are a lot of smaller aircraft that sometimes we have to call the attention, say, well, you're flying into a NOTAM area, please identify yourselves, fly above 400 feet so you can avoid any conflict. But, we do this on a daily basis with pre-programmed routes and pre-authorized routes.
Awesome. So you're in a direct conversation even with ATC. So
That's
you're
correct.
on the same page there. Awesome. Awesome. What about weather? How does that play an effect into the routes in your drones?
Well, just like any other aircraft, we have our limitations. Today, the first aircraft has a limitation of 16 knots per second, but we're going out to 25 knots. So we have to show significant hours. So we have to wait for until you get this heavy wind so we can test it as well in real life. And we can demonstrate to the regulator, look, these are many hours. All of our flights are recorded and we have the weather stations, we get the information. So we're pushing the limits a little bit more because it's safe to do it, right? After we accomplish so many hours, we share the evidence, and then the regulators are very keen on making the adjustment for us and allowing us to fly. We're the only ones that fly at night as well. So we fly, daily and night as well. But the only thing from a weather perspective is heavy rains, right? That actually can, and obviously winds. Beyond the limitations that we set for the aircraft.
You are definitely paving a path. You can test those winds, I think, in Palm Springs. They get some pretty heavy winds out there, right? So we do have a couple questions in our chat. Is the solution similar to the Workhorse out here in the U.S.?
I'm not familiar with the Workhorse. My apologies, but I believe so. If I know exactly who it is, yes.
Okay. And what's your max payload flight time, and are you using Pix4?
Yes, we use Pix4 and we use the Pixhawk systems as the brain of the autopilot. And we have an inner layer with that we make adjustments to the autopilot with the autopilot folks that work with us. We also have an outer layer with all the rules for the airspace control and the Civil Aviation Authority. What happens if battery goes this low? There's a problem with the communication systems, internet connectivity, 4G, 5G. The drone has to know what to do in those situations, right? So that's how we do it. My apologies. What are the other questions so I can answer?
It was, what is your flight time and what is your max payload?
We calculate not in flight time anymore. We calculate in range. So, for example, the first model is it's in kilograms. I can translate, but 3 kilos payload, above 5-6 pounds, in a 4-kilometer round trip, or even 10-kilometer one way, right? So that gets closer to 2 some miles in the first. In the first model. The second model, which is the bigger one that you saw in the Rio video, that's 8 kilograms of payload. So quite close to 15 pounds. And the aircraft, this one goes to 10-kilometer round trip, right? So 23 one way, which is quite, that's what we use to actually get the 16 kilometers in Israel. And we have actually done up to 23 kilometers over the ocean, over land as well.
Ah, so impressive. So impressive. So we do have more questions. Sam has asked, what is the ratio of females working in your company?
We need more. I have obviously my wife, that is my right hand. We started the company with my co-founder and his wife, so it was 50-50 in the beginning. And my wife actually operates. If I show the videos in Chicago that we did with a few partners, I'm not unfortunately I don't have the freedom yet because it has not been released yet. We did a Chicago experience in the Illinois Medical District for a month. The video's coming up and you see her operating. So she actually knows how to operate the drone more than I do. We have about 10 female employees in the company out of the 40, right? So we're increasing as well. A lot of the engineers are still more on the male side, right? But we are recruiting more and more. But I have one that I would like to share with you. We have actually an operations in the south of Brazil, taking genetic material for artificial insemination in a farm. It's a huge farm. We do this every day, taking semen, right? Swine semen for artificial insemination. And the two pilots, the two operators there are two females that operate for us. And it was very hard to hire in a very remote area. And they're fantastic. So the number one pilot that we had as well, until recently, her record was passed by an operator that actually took another operations and actually fly a little bit more, was Claudia, and she had more hours than anybody else in the beginning. She was actually one of our first pilots in the company. So we are open for anyone that wants to come and operate and fly with Speedbird.
Oh, what an inspiration. Oh, that's a great story to share. We love it. And it looks like Tawny's asked a question. What kind of experience are you requiring from your licensed pilots to participate in the operations?
That's a fantastic question. I can tell you that, Antonio Telles, that's his name. It's our number one pilot with over 5,000 hours of flying. And Antonio had never set foot on an aircraft before in his life, and did not even touch a drone until the first time he actually saw one, that he came to work for us. So we wanted to make sure we have the best people, and we can train them on the systems. We have actually our certified pilots to the training, right? We have actually aircraft pilots for commercial pilots. Today, they are set in our training programs. Wagner Delbagi is our head of operations. He's a commercial pilot, official flight instructor. So that's where the aviation knowledge resides, right? It's actually how we transfer that into multiple folks. Because if you think about what we're going to do, reaching the autonomy, right? And right now it's automatic. We call automatic flying, not autonomous flying, because you have a human being there controlling and still touching the battery, putting in and ensuring that the operations are done safely. Not in any moment in Brazil, we had a need for the pilot to take manual control of the aircraft. So only recently, when we went to Israel about 2 years ago, that it was a requirement to have a joystick that we actually created, either a virtual stick in our system or in a joystick, kind of like fly-by-wire, that we can actually do hard limits. You don't tumble the drone, and the yaw and all the pitch are controlled, for example. So you do not need to work very hard to adjust in case there's a GPS failure. As you know very well, Israel happens very often. The GPS can be jammed. We never had a case like that in Brazil, but we did have in Israel. So we had to adjust the system so you can hover it, you can stop, you can stabilize by using visual recognition of the terrain, right? Or the horizon, where you can actually stop and allow the pilot, the operator, to bring the drone into a place that actually can land. We also have these alternative landing sites in place in longer routes in case it's needed. And absolutely, if everything fails, let's say we have an emergency, you can deploy the parachute, either automatically by the system recognizing a traumatic system failure, or by the command of the operator at that time, as he or she identifies any danger or anything that requires the parachute to be deployed. So, but the idea is to make this scalable. We like to have pilots, qualified pilots everywhere, but we know that where this technology is going, the important part is to ensure that the safety of the operations are done, and actually good human beings with good intentions, working together, open to learn, can do this job as well as anybody else.
Wow, awesome. Awesome. And so we do still have a few more questions in our chat. The ball is still rolling. This is amazing. This is fantastic. So are you hiring marketing staff for the US yet? Somebody right here, Anna, is interested. Also, we'll circle back to that question in a minute. Also, I have a couple other people that would love to connect with you. And so if that's possible, may we put your connection or LinkedIn or some way for people to reach out to you? I know Founts has mentioned it as well, and he's doing a lot with the Red Cross here in United States, and so they'd like to reach out as well. So
That would be an honor. That would be an honor. And yes, we are now. I'm here in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. We are raising funds now, which is important for the U.S. expansion, because otherwise we'll be just like we did before, bootstrapping and working very hard. Our teams, both in Brazil and Israel, are very frugal. We want to have a little bit more dry powder. At this time is a horrible time, as you know what happened with Silicon Valley Bank, unfortunately. That sends a bit shock waves to startups like us around the world. But we are overcoming that with pragmatic management in only expanding step by step, so we do not overreach and have a problem with our runway. So we will be hiring in the US soon. Right now, we're starting to talk with the DOT and the FAA, applying for the Beyond program, and hopefully soon we'll be looking for qualified people that can actually help us achieve our objectives, whatever we may be.
awesome. All right. So there you go, Anna. Yes. Those days are coming. I did see on your website that you hope to be global by 2030. So those are awesome goals. I saw that on there. Anna said, great. Thank you. So I saw on one of your slides that you had a UVSI on there. We also had Jeremiah with commercial UAV. I think he might have dropped off, but I was curious as to, are you planning on attending any of the events that are here in the United States coming up?
Yes, we exhibited last year in an Exponential. Was fantastic. Actually, with the 4 companies from Israel, so we bonded together. Can Do, the Speedbird, Prayer Zero, which is amazing parachute systems that we use as well, and Elsight, and the Highlander, which is the UTM that we partner. So for us, yes, the US is, this year we had to put a hold to our plans because of obviously funding. So we're looking at funding first before we can come. And I think we're getting closer to the deployment in the US now, and we can actually revisit to see whether we will be there in Denver, no questions. But whether we will exhibit or not is still a question for us, a question mark. We don't know yet. We're working with a few other companies to see if we can bundle and join. As I said, we're very pragmatic. Money is very short. And as I said, we will take one step at a time. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. Sorry for the jargon here, but it's actually true. We know that this is not going to be the airspace is not going to be freed up for everybody to fly everywhere, and those who believe that they can be flying to everywhere they want. I think the history already shown that what others said that can be possible 5 years. In 5 years, we're not there yet. Even the eVTOL companies are trying to be more pragmatic, because otherwise we'll be wasting money in only in marketing and not reaching your objectives, which is actually to deliver a product that can meet the units of economics that are required for you to have a sustainable business model.
Wonderful, wonderful. We are excited to see it happening. That's for sure. What states will you begin to service in? Is a question that Sheila had. Any northern states?
It's too soon for us to know where the demands are. We had talks with obviously North Carolina. We've been there. We made ourselves at home in Asheville, thanks to the Asheville County, the city. It was fantastic. Even the airport welcomed us and said, well, we want to see Speedbird flying from the airport. They even looked at a place for us that we it's our home right now in our minds. Florida as well, Chicago, Illinois, and obviously my home state of Arizona. We have to go back to Arizona at some point, but obviously any place that has a need for drone delivery where we can actually make an impact and make a difference, we are open, because for us deploying takes 2 weeks with the regulators, talking about the routes, talking about and we can say very quickly, is this feasible right now or not feasible? Can we deploy it? Can we actually deploy at the units of economics required for the companies or institutions, like, for example, the Red Cross you just mentioned, and others that are in need? We know in the U.S. there's a lot of healthcare deserts. This is where I believe the FAA, DOT, are also having grants to allow this testing to happen more quickly at the areas that are actually needed. But as we said, as we land in the U.S., and I already moved to the U.S. As of last month with my wife, so we're already living in the U.S. again. For now, we're in Florida, but we will be moving to Asheville in the near term. We expect that.
Awesome. Wow. Love the mission and the value proposition, especially for the healthcare of deserts. Yes, very much so. Just I love just the pathway that you are paving, and amazing what you are doing. And we're excited that you actually would come here and share with us. And we're looking forward to seeing you more and over at AUVSI. So hopefully we'll see you there. I know a lot of us from the Women in Drones are going to be there. So we will keep in touch and we'll all be getting together. So Manuel, thank you so much for sharing with us. I did put your website into the chat, so if anybody wanted to check that out. Are you on LinkedIn? May somebody try to connect through LinkedIn?
Absolutely. I'm at LinkedIn. Let me put here, I'll put my email as well. So anybody wants to reach out, please, it will be an honor. Honestly, we are a very humble company. We want to keep it that way. We want to make sure that, the costs are not prohibitive for our customers. We want this everywhere that we possibly can. And we need every help that we possibly can gather at this stage. Knowledge is important, experience. So please reach out, and my email is there, but you can actually look at me at my LinkedIn, Manoel. It's I believe this is our Coelho. That's what it's in there. Okay, so please connect, please reach out. We'll be more than honored to have a video call and talk and exchange information, and hopefully we can collaborate and see this grow as it should.
I love it. I love the pathway. I had a whole list of questions. I could probably sit here and talk very much longer, but look at everybody's already connecting with you. A lot of thank yous. Congratulations. Thank you very much, Manuel, for sharing with us today. And yes, there will be a replay available. And I know I've already had so many people asking for a replay. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. We will wrap it up for today, and we look forward to seeing you more in the future. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
All righty. Bye, everybody. I'm going to hang in here for a few more minutes just to have the chat, conversation, question, or anything, but totally understand if anybody needs to go because I've got schedules to meet, right? So, all right. That kind of wraps it up.